Brisbane.
Country mixed with city.
The weather, the people.
Sometimes I go to the beach or the mountain.
Brisbane 612 4QR.
My impression on the data so far is that it may not have been one. I must say we haven't got enough information yet to be terribly definite about it. But in similar reports we've had in the past have turned out to be unlikely to be meteors for various reasons, and this data seems to point in that direction at this time.
All right, well, if it's not meteors, one must ask, what is it?
Then we're left with the probable UFO.
Which, of course, is an unidentified flying object, not necessarily a spacecraft.
Well, when I say UFO, I do mean a spacecraft.
Okay, right.
Yes.
Some people coming to check us out.
Something like that.
Has it been a lot of activity lately, Tino?
It's been fairly quiet, apart from the last couple of days, I'd say. But I don't think anyone should go and call the Air Force just yet. But I think sightings around this time of the year usually start to pick up around the summer months. It's not, you can't make a pattern out of it, but people tend to be outside more in the summer months. They tend to be lying on the grass or whatever, looking up in the sky more than winter. They cuddle up and watch TV. But the last few days has been busy, especially with these so-called meteorites around.
Would you be interested in hearing from people who may have seen the meteorite showers last night?
Very much so, yes.
Well, look, if you saw them last night, why not give Tino or Martin a call? We'll talk about it on air, on our UFO line, 3223 0612. Just thought I'd name it that just for the session, Tino. 1800 77 3366. In fact, if you have wanted to talk to somebody about UFOs and you've been wondering who you can talk to and who won't think you're a crank, give Tino or Martin a call now. They would love to hear from you because every call they get will add to their records and perhaps one day lead to a confirmed sighting. 3223 0612 or 1800 77 3366. I must ask you, gentlemen, are there more sightings in Queensland than other states? Is there any part of Australia which seems to attract UFOs more than any other?
I don't think so, Paul. I think the higher the population density, the more the reports. And Australia is a very large country with a very small population in proportion with other countries around the world. And I think that it depends to the people in the area, the local community, if they know there's a research group in the area or that there's a sympathetic radio station that would take reports, they would most certainly collect more data from those areas. Queensland, southeast Queensland up to Sunshine Coast, it seems to us to be a very busy part of the world as far as UFOs go. Certainly parts of New South Wales and Victoria as well. But I think that you can't, there's no definite pattern there. It just follows the population areas, I think. Who's going to see one in the middle of the desert? And if they are, who's going to report it to where?
Do you find that most of the sightings are confirmed by another witness?
No, the majority of sightings are of people, a group of people in one place seeing something. There are a number of instances where two different groups of people or two different individuals in two different places see the same thing are relatively rare, probably about 5% of the cases.
When you were last on air with us, we had some calls about objects leaving scorch marks and things like that in the ground. Is that fairly common?
No, it's not common, but it does happen quite a lot. When I say it's not common, out of the hundreds of reports we get, only a few are like that.
And that can't be explained as a grass die-off because of grass scrub and stuff like that?
Well, we check out all these possibilities, and only after every reasonable explanation has been eliminated do we then say that it could have been associated with a UFO landing. And we'd like to have people say they've seen something come down or rise from that place. The mere fact of a marking on the ground doesn't automatically relate it to a UFO.
Because I guess if people are loath to believe that there is other intelligent life out there, that they want to say that we are it and this entire group of, however far infinity goes, they'll try and find a rational, logical explanation for what they think they might have seen. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, I think it is a fair statement. If I can just go back to that point before about scorch marks, though, there's a classic case at Ipswich where a lady was actually followed home by a large craft. Or followed home. She was driving home, and this craft was beside her in about 20, 30 feet up in the air. It followed her to her house, and she saw the bright light out in her backyard after she went inside, of course. And the next day, she noticed that her swimming pool, the level of the water had dropped, and her mango tree that was there, part of it was absolutely scorched, or the mangoes were, I think she described as being like dehydrated. There was a definite, that where the UFO was spotted, the area below that was definitely affected. So if you take the sighting, the witness report, with that type of evidence, it's pretty hard to put aside as being a natural phenomenon.
Yeah, we're talking UFOs with Tino Pezzamenti and Martin Goschel from the UFO Research Group in Queensland.
ABC Online, your ABC on the internet, reflecting the diversity of ABC programs and services. Discover ABC News, Triple J, Quantum, Recovery, concerts, Behind the News and more, all available through the internet. Find ways to contact your local ABC and places to have a say. Explore your interests through ABC Online, providing a guide to the best websites in Australia and overseas. ABC Online, www.abc.net.au.
It's 15.5 to 10 on your local ABC and Brisbane 612 4QR. We're talking UFOs. If you'd like to join us and have a chat with Tino Pezzamenti and Martin Goschel from the UFO Research Group in Queensland, 3223 0612 or 1800 77 3366. Martin, I asked before about the frequency of sightings and whether any part of Australia is more attractive to our interplanetary visitors, perhaps the beaches or whatever on the Gold Coast, I don't know. But seriously though, does Queensland have more sightings than others?
Well, we have more sightings reports than the other groups have been getting in recent years. That much we can say. Whether that translates into greater number of sightings is another question, because only a small percentage of the sightings made are reported to somebody. It could simply be that we've been had a larger profile in the public's eye, and more people have been inclined to get in touch with us.
Speaking of getting in touch with you, we'll throw the phone lines open on 3223 0612 or 1800 77 3366. But last night, one of the sightings in southern Queensland was described like this. If I was to read this to you, what would you say it was? The lady and her husband saw this, and she said, we were watching TV, and out the window of the side window of the house, we saw a white light, a sort of fairly big white light, like a falling star, only much slower, falling out of the sky. It came right out to what I imagine was tree level, and then there was a big orange explosion.
Yes.
If you got that sighting, what would you say about that?
I would explore when she said it was much slower than a falling star. That probably means she was looking at it for several seconds. And it would be unlikely to see a falling star in that viewpoint for more than 3 or 4 seconds. And to
come down to about treetop level and then explode.
Well, that does suggest an impact with the ground if it was a meteor.
So you'd think that if there's an impact, there'd be some sort of evidence left of an impact, wouldn't there?
You might have the ground shaking, there might be a loud bang, there would be a hole in the ground somewhere.
Yes, certainly some physical evidence.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, I wonder if there was. Dave's joining us. Hello, Dave.
Yeah, g'day. How are you?
Good, thank you. Go ahead, mate. We've got Martin and Tino here.
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Look, I was just interested. I listen to your show whenever I'm on the road. That sighting up at Ipswich, the fellow just talked about before. Now, this was a couple of years back. My sister lives out at Boona, and she got followed home along the Boona Road one night, and she definitely reckoned it wasn't like the Air Force operate a lot up that valley. And she said, no, it was definitely not an Air Force craft, and it followed her, right out along towards Boona. But I'll give her a ring and get more details, and if I can get a number of you people, I'll get it to ring, because, it might add to the, as you say, the data.
Yeah, well, the number is 3376.
Yeah, hang on, I've just got to get me biro out. I'm just about home, you see.
Well, look, we're going to give the number at the end of the program anyway.
All right, well, look, I'll go back on the radio and I'll just write it down if you can give it to us in a second.
All right, Dave.
Okay, then.
Good one. Thanks for your call, Dave.
Righto, thanks.
Bye-bye. Safe drive the rest of the trip. 3223 0612 or 1800 77 3366. The numbers to call if you want to talk with Tino and Martin about UFOs. Good evening, Breck.
Evening. Years ago, back in the 60s, I worked on Matsyker Island, which is the southernmost lighthouse in Australia. Very windswept, very miserable. But the 6 of us saw a totally unexplainable UFO. It wasn't 1, 6. It was a dome-shaped object with a red light flashing to the right and white to the left. Now, the rate at which it changed its angle up and down and then from left to right was just no way in the world could be explained by anything. Now, I went back to Hobart after about 4 weeks, suddenly discovered I was called in by the Navy to go right through and question in massive detail. Now, at that stage, I was a nurse. I've gone on and done medicine since. I've spent time with the Air Force at Ambly and 2 years in Singapore, and again at Ambly. And I've been involved with investigation of about 4 UFO sightings through the Air Force. And I can assure you, when the Air Force is investigating, there ain't no genuine explanation for the UFO. Every possible thing's done. So I've got a very strong scientific background. I am a skeptic, but experience says there's got to be something there, and there is no rational explanation.
Okay, Tino.
Well, Breck, how are you? We'd certainly like to know a little bit more about this. There may be a rational explanation for it, but, we certainly love some more details from you. Yep. Can I ask you what year this was?
The one off Matsyker Island was the end of 1965. It was about September 65.
Okay.
And I was working as a lighthouse or a relief lighthouse keeper. Actually, it was a holiday job inside. But as I said, there were the 4 lighthouse keepers, myself and 3 others, plus all of us saw it.
Okay, and obviously the Air Force wouldn't have had this type of aircraft around in 1965.
No. When I got back to Hobart a few weeks later, I was asked to come into the shipping lighthouse department, and I was grilled by Navy and Army intelligence officers, very heavily grilled, over what I'd seen, what speed it moved, the lot. And at the end of it, they said, well, look, the angles of acceleration vertically and horizontally, there was no known Army, Navy, Air Force plane or otherwise. There was no way in which the Aurora Australis or anything could be blamed.
Yeah, you wonder why the military would question someone about something that doesn't exist officially.
Hang on, the military does accept it. They look at it as... Well, that's what I was saying. I was with the Air Force from 1971 to 1978, plus 5 years after, and both at Ambly in 75, Singapore in 76, 77, and again at Ambly in 78, I was involved with about 4 trying to sort out. See, I'm a medical officer with them, and I was often called in to try and find out, is this person a sober, drunk, or otherwise, was there any medical reason to explain that they couldn't see it?
Very interesting.
At the end of the interviews, at the end of the investigations, there was no rational explanation for what was there and what was seen.
When you last saw this object, did it eventually stay in the air, or did it disappear or fly off?
It eventually disappeared. Where we were looking towards the southwest, which is looking towards the virtually the Cape of Good Hope, out in that direction. It disappeared very suddenly out to the immediate west-northwest, which put it over the west coast of Tasmania, Macquarie Harbour area.
Okay.
It's an interesting one, isn't it?
Fascinating. It was my first ever experience.
Brick, how big was it?
It was hard to say how big. It gave the impression of a dome. It was in the distance. The light colours were flashing from side to side, and they were changing. You got the impression that it was, as I said, a dome shape, but you couldn't say size or relative position or otherwise. It was too far away.
That's an interesting one for your files. Do you want to maybe have a yarn to Breck off here and get more details on that?
Well,
very much so, yes.
Breck, if we can put you on hold and Alison will get your number, and Tino and Martin will have to talk to you more about that. Thanks for your call. And Steve's joining us now. Hello, Steve. That's Breck again. Let's go back to Steve. Hello, Steve. No, let me just get this organised. I think we got... Well, let's put Breck on hold, and we'll get Steve. Hello, Steve.
Hello, how are you tonight?
Very well, thank you.
I just wanted to comment on that one of last night, where you were discussing how the people saw like what appeared to be a crash. My hobby is listening to various communication frequencies, and last night I heard the authorities respond to that, and they responded in a big way. It was so big that they thought it was an actual plane crash, and sent out quite a number of units that actually could spot fires and what appeared to be lights, but it was in the remote part to the west, or was sort of halfway between Mount Nee and Abra. But they were, they even sent out a 4-wheel drive unit to have a look around, but they just found that the area was a bit too mountainous to get around, but they could see flames. So, but I see nothing was mentioned in the paper today.
That's very interesting.
Well, I was very interested, and it wasn't only myself, but listened to one of the other friends who I spoke to today. Also commented that he listened to the same series of radio transmissions and asked me if I heard what the outcome was. The final outcome was, oh, don't worry about it, there was no planes missing. But these people could clearly see flames from the end of the Caboolture River Road looking west, and that place was at sort of halfway Mount Me and Debra. So it's probably worth chasing up and seeing if there was something up there.
Yes, Steve. Do you think we could perhaps speak to you at some future time and get more particulars from you?
Yeah, if you want to, I'll leave my number with Alison.
We've got your number with Alison. Okay, Steve. Okay. Good. The guys give you a call. Thanks, Steve.
No worries. Bye.
Good night. Tino Pessamenti and Martin Gottschalk from UFO Research Queensland are with us in the studio, taking your calls on 3223 0612 and 1800 77 3366. Jane, hello.
Good evening.
How are you?
Fine, thanks. Early this morning, I was listening. Simon, I think he is, comes on after Tony.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, well, they were talking, 2, 3, 4 o'clock this morning, and different people were ringing up. One was McDowell, up here, north of Brisbane.
Right.
And one was Tara. And then there were different ones in New South Wales, Victoria and South Australia.
Quite a spread, hey?
Pardon?
Quite a spread of sightings.
Yes. So whatever it was, I didn't quite understand. I just heard about the lights. But I'm in the city, not far from the ABC, and, you know, you can only look over to the city lights or down the uni. And
yes, it's called visual pollution, that, actually.
Oh, yes.
The light pollution. You tend not to be able to see things beyond the loom of the lights around the city, which is a bit of a pity, isn't it?
Yes. It's that and the trees that are about, too.
Yes.
I went out and had a look out, but naturally I couldn't see anything. I think if I'd looked up north that way, but anyway, I thought you might just be interested. Simon, he gave a number for people to ring in. Of course, this is about, I don't know what time he comes on, 2 o'clock?
Yes, he does. Come on after Tony Delroy.
Yes.
Yep.
He gave a number to ring him. Is he from Adelaide?
I'm not too sure. I think he is Simon out of Adelaide, yes. So that's a national program, of course, so we get calls from all over the country.
Yes.
Hello, Jane. It's Tino here. They're telling us now to watch out for magpies. It's magpie seasons, but I think...
Well, in fact, hang on, no, don't laugh. The Melbourne Age today reported 2 young kids have had eye operations after being hit by magpies. And I got swooped on trying to take my bald scalp off, I think.
Well, if this keeps up, we've got to watch for falling meteorites as well. I think it's getting a bit dangerous out there, the number of meteorites.
Okay, so there were reports. Jane, thanks for that.
Righto.
Thank you.
Okay, then, good night. Hello, Lex, good evening.
Oh, yes, good evening. I'd like to ask Tino and Martin about sprites. They're an atmospheric phenomenon. They've only been discovered since about 1993, I think. And, I don't mean to be sceptical. Well, I am a bit sceptical, but these things, they're only discovered in 1993, and they're a new atmospheric phenomenon. And to me, that says that there are lots of unexplainable, unidentified flying objects out there. And I was just wanting to get Martin and Tino's comment on that.
Well, I'm afraid, Lex, I don't know what sprites are. And you're quite right, there are many things out there that we don't understand. But when we talk about UFOs, we're talking about things that have been seen on the ground and touched and been observed to behave in certain ways. And when they're seen in the sky at greater distances and behave in the same way, we infer that we're looking at the same object that we've come to recognize from closer observation. And it's quite easy, I think, to distinguish between UFOs as intelligently controlled objects or vehicles and various kinds of natural phenomena such as ball lightning and possibly min-min lights, of which we have some understanding, at least as to their behavior and how they differ from UFOs.
Lex, it's Tino here.
Yes.
We'd definitely like to hear a little bit more about sprites. If you can guide us in the right direction as far as what material we can pick up to read and study this phenomena, we'd be very grateful to you.
Yeah, sure. They were reported in Scientific America,
right.
I think, this year or last year. They're an atmospheric phenomenon which occurs over storm clouds. They exist for 1/50th of a second, appear to have dimensions of around a 50-kilometre radius, and appear as a large pink-red umbrella.
That's very interesting.
Yes, and associated that with is an inverted cone in blue light, which extends out into the atmosphere.
Well, we'll have to leave it there, Lex, but thank you for that. So, Scientific America, guys. Thanks,
Okay.
Lex.
Thank you.
Good night. And the number, if you'd like to talk with Tino and Martin any time, if you have a sighting, is 3376 1780. 3376 1780. And that, of course, is 07 STD for dialing from around the state. Well, Tino and Martin, thank you for joining us tonight. Certainly is fascinating what people can see in the sky.
Thank you very much, Paul, for having us here.
Thank you, Paul.
Tino Pezzamenti and Martin Gottschall from UFO Research Group of Queensland. The number again, 3376 1780.
Brisbane.
Country mixed with city.
The weather, the people.
Sometimes I go to the beach or the mountains.
Brisbane 612 4QR.